Rues. Daniel Malen! Wonderful!
Fantastic from Royce. Jude Bellingham, that's excellent. Jude Bellingham, this is absolutely brilliant. Jude Bellingham! Absolutely magnificent. Reina, brilliant from the American. Just like that. Best of clearances. Oh, what a volley! Matt Hummels!
Grant in for Haaland! Like he's never been away. The man in front of goal who is simply deadly.
Hey, welcome to the BVB podcast. My name's Jake. Carver is with me as always. How you doing, man?
Mentally, I'm drained. I'm honestly drained from these last two games as Dortmund continues to be an exhausting club to support. But I'm excited to get into the episode. How you doing?
I'm doing good. It feels like it's been like a month since the last episode, and I think just because, like you said, drained, the mental draining that was like how just Rangers and how awful it was and how awful we all felt after it. And then the joy of who did we play? And we won a lot. Gladbach. Well, to be fair, I did watch Rangers again last night to like re-prep for the show because again, it seems like it's been forever, so a little confused. But yeah, I don't know. It feels like it's been forever. Besides that, I mean, I'm doing okay. We're about to get hit with another snowstorm here in St. Louis where we live. We've been going the last 3 weeks. It's been like 60 degrees 2 days.
Yeah.
Snowstorm the next 2 days. It's just like
shorts weather to being pinned in by snow and you can't leave for the entire day.
So hopefully the weather wherever you're listening is pretty great. On that note, I should probably jump in and actually plug our plugs this time like I forgot to do last time. Thank you so much for listening. Especially if this is your first time listening, thank you for hanging out with us. You can find us on all your favorite podcast places, Apple, Spotify, Google, iHeartRadio, wherever you listen to podcasts, you can find us by searching the BVB podcast. We are on Twitter and now Instagram and YouTube. After last week when I said I might make a YouTube channel, I literally went home and made one that night. So Twitter,
where aren't we right now?
We're not on MySpace. We're not on Facebook, but maybe we'll work on it. I don't know. But Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, everything is / or at the BVB pod. So yeah, thanks again. And it's been a pretty good week. We maybe because there's two crazy games, but I don't know. There's been a lot of feedback lately, and Carver and I are just like two guys hanging out talking about Dortmund. So it's cool that other people are getting involved and reaching out to us and saying nice things. So we really appreciate it. But we're going to jump right into it. And today, obviously, talking about the loss to Rangers, the amazing win against Gladbach. We're going to preview. We have Augsburg in the Bundesliga this weekend. And, of course, on Thursday, but by the time you're listening, it's going to be tomorrow or whenever you're listening. On Thursday, we're in the Europa League again to hopefully come back against Rangers. We'll see what happens. But before we jump into it, I just pulled up our form so far in 2022 because it's been good, it's been bad, it's been a lot of back and forth, and it's still the same. So I mean, we kicked off 2022, the new year, with that comeback win against Frankfurt, which that game right there is like how we should have known. It was like the perfect preview to what the rest of the year is to come, because we were down 2, came back. I don't remember this, but it was like really quickly to score 3 goals in the last like 12 or 10 minutes or something to come back.
The Dahoud screamer, 75 yards out, top bins.
So that was just a good preview. It's like complete misery, complete jubilation, and there goes the rest of the season so far. So, and then we thrashed Freiburg 5-1.
Which everyone thought that was the tipping point, and we're going to start to turn this season around.
I'm going to reference that game more. I'm going to keep referencing that game forever. Well, now I have a new game to reference. Yeah. Thrash Freiburg 5-1. Then we go on to, after jubilation, like I said, we lose, go out of the Pokal to St. Pauli, losing 1-2. Then we had a pretty good road win against Hoffenheim, winning 3-2. We grind out that win.
A bit lucky, but still got the win. That's what matters.
Then I like the alliteration, so I'm going with, I did not put it on my notes, but lacerated at Leverkusen, losing 5-2. Then we kept our clean sheet against Berlin. Then here we are, losing to Rangers and battering Gladbach.
Win, loss, win, loss, win, loss, win.
And it's like good wins and then just horrendous losses.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess St. Pauli was close, but that was St. Pauli, so and going out of the Pokal, so not good. And they did it again. It's just, here we are again. How I don't know. I don't know where to go from there, except it happened again.
Yeah. It's incredible how consistently inconsistent this club is. To go from such high highs to low lows in a matter of days, not even weeks, but just days every single week for months now. It's actually impressive. It's actually impressive.
So yeah, we'll jump right into Rangers. So lineup. This is coming off our 3-0 clean sheet win at Union Berlin. We're feeling really good. I even saw, I got to pull this up on my phone, but I saw a quote after the game from, this was a former Rangers player, defender, Richard Foster. So this is after the Rangers defeat, and I heard a quote from him saying, "I wrote them off, but Rangers produced one of the best performances of the season. They made Dortmund look really, really average." Which
that is spot on. I mean, that was one of the biggest nights in Rangers history and European history for sure. To thrash a team like Dortmund at Dortmund.
And to hear that, like, from a Rangers supporter too, like, it's like, obviously he wrote them off. I didn't even write them off like that bad. Like, I expected a little more. And then so it's not funny. It's sad, but it's like funny to hear how, like, they didn't even give themselves a chance really.
Yeah.
And then, they came in and rocked us. But.
Well, when you come in with that mentality of having nothing to lose and, must be fucking nice, but to have an actual belief in yourself and the people around you, you're bound to play well whenever you have this sort of belief in your system. But yeah, we went with an unchanged lineup from Rosa against Union the week before that. Had a back four, at times looked like a back three with Guerrero and Brandt on the wings. And Royce almost is like a second striker up top. But it's a risky one. I know Anton mentioned last week how Rangers could exploit us on the counter with their pace. Just also want to say a quick shout out to Anton for coming on the show last week. I didn't get a chance to listen until the episode release, but great lad, great analysis. Although I didn't really understand what he meant whenever he said Dortmund give goals away for fun. I don't know where he got that. But
I want to say for fun, but for our misery.
Yeah. Yeah, who's to say? But yeah, Rangers came into this one sitting deep and compact, and they knew what to do. They had a game plan, and they looked kind of like a 4-4-2 at times. It looked like they tried to shut down some of our passing lanes when we were in possession. Again, sit really deep and then just hit us on the counter with the fast breaks. I mean, there were not only plenty of holes to exploit because of our god-awful defending, but they had some of the ability in their attack to do it. So,
yeah, it was interesting coming off the Berlin game in the last episode. I kept hammering in like defensive structure, defensive stability, because that Union game, like it felt like I hammered it in so much because like, this is the solution. This is like what we need to do. And of course we go in with that same lineup and it completely falls apart.
Well, when you switch to a 3 at the back at times, and I'm not coming after the system because I want us to continue with that system moving forward, but that system relies on wingbacks that are going to support you in defense and attack. And I looked like most of the time Brandt was providing the width on the right. And given the player that he is, he's not the most aggressive player in our squad. And having the responsibility to provide width and attack and support on defense is going to leave you open and vulnerable for those just waves after waves of counterattacks coming from Rangers. Yeah.
So, I mean, overall, watching the game back last night, I was like, watching it, I mean, the time of like live and the aftermath, like how horrendous it felt and like how down it felt and bad it felt. And it was
a shit show.
It was, but rewatching it and knowing the outcome, I was kind of watching it like, it's not as bad as I like remember.
The hell are you talking?
Knowing that we're not going to win, being able to break it down and watch it more. I mean, my overall thought, I was like, we actually look decent because as far as like controlling the ball, we definitely weren't clinical. We couldn't put anything in. But I think watching it back and I don't know, I don't even know how to explain it. But I was like, if we were to make a little like some corrections here and there, or if we were a little more clinical in the finish, we're running this game. And then when it got bad, it's like when we make the individual mistakes, and like how many times have we talked about the individual mistakes? Bayern, where where Hummels had a terrible game, like 3 mistakes for their 3 goals, pretty much.
I mean, it happens every game. It's, we don't have to go back months to find those kind of mistakes. But I think that goes to show you that we really didn't improve much or take some of our improvements from the Berlin game into this European game. I mean, you mentioned it already, plenty of mistakes at the back. I didn't think we had any sort of initiative or drive at all when we had possession. It was just sideways, back and forth, willy-nilly, and couldn't penetrate any of their lines. When they sit back in that deep 4-4-2, we just had no other options but to push it wide and lose possession, because a lot of times it seems like the people who are in possession of the ball have mental lapses, and that's whenever Rangers were able to break and exploit those areas,
Yeah, I don't want people coming at me and saying, how do you think we had a good game against Rangers? I'm just saying, fix a couple things.
Fix a lot of things.
Okay, yeah.
But
I mean, to your point, it's like not being able to break anything down. I think it comes down to, for me, my thought is like, when we start playing bad, when anyone makes an individual mistake that leads to a goal, especially, this team seems to like just fall apart.
Oh,
like
absolutely.
When the team, and it turns into this terrible mentality shift where it's like, you see a lot of players, it feels like a lot of players are trying to do it on their own. I think that's where we really get screwed. Like you'll see guys trying to take on runs or carrying the ball more than they should. People are trying to really just lift the team up on their shoulders and go, and then just do too much on their own. And you just see like we just collapse and we get frustrated and we don't like hunker down and work together as a team.
Well, yeah, we definitely rely on individual brilliance, which seems like most of the time in recent months. And whenever we're not working as a unit and defending as a unit, you're going to get punished for that, week in and week out. But, Rangers deserve this win. I don't want to just come at us for this, for our performance on Thursday. It wasn't just a matter of us being shite. It was also a matter of Rangers performing really well. They came into this game with a real belief in themselves, with a real belief in their game plan, and they came out and actually executed it well. Fucking go figure. That must be nice to support a club like that. But once we lost the ball, they would just have to break that first initial line when we were gegen pressing, and behind that was just acres of space for them to exploit, and that's what they did all game. So yeah, Rangers not only deserve that win, but they also deserve to go through if we cannot come out this Thursday and manage to dig ourselves out of an enormous hole that we dug ourselves into, and put on a real disciplined, influential performance. Because if we don't deserve to go through in this competition. We've been knocked out of 3 now, and all 3, or 3, right? Pokal, Champions League, and about to be Europa League.
Yeah.
It seems kind of well-deserved at times, I mean, I don't know how a team like Borussia Dortmund can have just like such little desire at this time right now. I know we've had, this kind of problem for years, but zero desire to actually close down counterattacks when you've been burned every single game. And, every week that you play, you're constantly getting hit with the same problems, and you don't want to address any of those issues. Zero desire to attack with any actual ideas in mind. A lot of sideways passes again, like I mentioned before. Just looked really flaccid and just looked really careless on Thursday.
Yeah, even seeing like Rose on the sidelines, I don't know what was going through his mind, but he looked like he didn't know what to do too. He looked like
headlights.
Yeah, he didn't have. It looked like he didn't have the drive or the desire, and so I don't know how you get motivated. I don't know what the halftime talk was, but it clearly it didn't help. But yeah, just every time the camera flashed to him on the sideline, he was just like very like blank stare, like I don't know what's happening, I don't know what to do, which is
especially after the first goal. I was at work and I turned this game on like maybe a few minutes before we conceded the penalty, or kind of early in the first half. But just like even before they scored the penalty, it's just right when the penalty was called, every single head on the field just dropped. And it's like, where is, again, the mentality? When you are playing for Borussia Dortmund and you step onto that pitch, especially at a home game, you need to wear that badge with some goddamn pride. And those players just completely fell off. They, again, not only looked careless and flaccid, but just they looked beat. They rolled over, and it was 0-0.
I don't know if part of that is like we we had like a few chances, and I mean, you can't like drop your head. You can't like give up, but maybe that's what it's like. They had a few chances and they didn't go in. So like, oh no, like they're already getting frustrated. But like, that's when you have to, I've heard a lot of other coaches like Tuchel, Klopp, I'm going to just throw out old Dortmund coaches, but I'm also throwing in Conte. But they talk about like suffering a lot. And it's something like our current Dortmund doesn't do. Like when things get bad, that's when you have to like, I don't know, like find some strength, find the like motivation to.
You got to dig down deep.
Yeah, dig down deep and just get together as a team and fight and like work through the hard times. Not like, don't just give up like, oh, the game's not going for you or you turned over the ball.
Yeah, it seems like the squad is incapable of finding that grit and, running to go deep down and fight because they're constantly, not addressing any of the issues that are happening almost every week. But, there's plenty, again, I mentioned plenty of individual errors again. Zagadou, where to start with him? I love the dude to death still, but like, man, he managed to miss an open header from a corner, concede a penalty, and score an own goal in a single match. It's like, sheesh.
Hat trick.
Yeah. So just continues to prove that he's a massive liability. I still have faith in the guy, but like, I mean, now he's out for several weeks, so
yeah,
who knows what's going to happen in the summer.
Rewatching last night, and I kind of like flashed back a little bit, like before he got injured in the next game. But it's like watching that, and also when is the last game where he had few mistakes too. It's like, what's the solution? Do you just like bench him, but like you have to do it in some kind of a motivating way? It's like, hey man, you got to take some time, got to really work on things. Like, I don't know how you do that without just like crushing his spirit even more. Cause I think that's the issue. It's like when things are already going bad and then he keeps making mistakes. It's like the solution is almost not to let him keep playing because because I don't think that's going to build his confidence, especially if he like makes another mistake. Like,
yeah, it's a tough one, and I know he's young, and he doesn't seem like too mentally strong of a player. It looks like he can be suffering at times, but at some point you gotta set your standards for the team, and it's not like players weren't dropped before. I know Hazard didn't even make the squad for what was it, Rangers, I think, either. So, and it wasn't just Zagadou at the back either. No. I mean, Akanji got gassed several times in the only 55 minutes that he played. Got gassed, man. I haven't seen him look that like slow before, not only physically, but just like react slow too. I mean, like, I think, what was it, Ryan Kent from Rangers on the left wing. I mean, he was just making Akanji look like a schoolboy center back. I mean, he could not control him whatsoever on any sort of those attacks. Yeah. And it wasn't just our defense at all. I mean, either though, I can't remember a single thing Dahoud really did all game. Malen was invisible. I mean, that man continues to struggle leading our attacks. I don't think his decision-making is that great. Not saying there isn't any hope for him, but there's a lot of room for improvement for Malen for sure. Brandt had a forgettable night. I know how much you and I love him, but I swear to God, he loves misplacing passes more than he loves playing for Dortmund. It's his favorite thing. And Jude was like the only player that showed up the entire game. I know Rafa had an assist, a goal, but like other than that, Rafa didn't look great either. No. I think Jude was really the only player that was like trying to pull everyone together. Like, geez, do you want to keep getting humiliated in front of our home fans right now?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't remember the specific comments. This happened last time. I'm trying to pull out quotes and I literally don't remember anything, but that was like, I remember whatever he said was very like, mature. Oh, Jude? Yeah, Jude, his post-game, yeah.
He said he wasn't going to let anyone on the team give up. He was going to hold everyone accountable. And again, that dude is 18. And just what he gives on the pitch and clearly what he gives off the pitch, I mean, just give the man a blank check. Like, who cares? I know he just signed up, but like, give him another one. He deserves everything. I love Jude so much. So, yeah, at least he was able to rustle up some sort of hope, I guess, going into this Thursday. Because that left me rattled after Thursday. I had no idea what we're going to look like coming into Sunday for Gladbach.
Yeah, his goal, that goal was so good. And it was a good response too. I mean, the one good response, talking about just our mentality and we fall apart and our heads go down immediately. Like you give up the penalty, and I know it's. I feel like that was one of the later goals we've given up. We usually will give up a goal a little earlier in the game, so maybe they felt like, or maybe when they give up a goal earlier, like, oh, we still got time to come back. Maybe, I don't know, for some reason, it's still the first half. Maybe they were just like, oh, we can't come back. And then they concede in a few minutes, which definitely kills you. But you take out that, as I said, like, I'm going to go back to it was decent. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to say it was, if we played how we played in the first half and we didn't concede those 2 goals. I almost feel like if we don't concede that first one, we don't concede that second one. We go into the break at half, 0-0, if. This is all hypothetical.
It's a lot of hypotheticals.
But it seemed like there was room, if we came out in the second half firing, if he gave him a good speech, it's like, okay, we can still win this game.
Which Rosa can do. I mean, there's no denying that we're known at times for being second half FC. So, I mean, there was hope for at least a little bit that Rosa was going to try to pull what he could together during halftime and try to get a result out of this. But, you know, at that point, it just looked too late. I mean, all of our heads were dropped and just continued to rip us apart on the counter going into the second half. Yeah, right when we conceded, I think in the 49th, I was like, they just don't care. They just don't.
Yeah, and then, that goal then right after halftime, not good. And then luckily, not luckily, but Jude tried. He tried, and it was a sick goal, but it was like too little, too late. No one else to do anything. It was a brilliant
awful hit from Jude. That was a left foot.
Oh, again, it was awesome.
I think the man can't do, it seems like.
All right, before we, look ahead a little bit and talk Gladbach, we had a couple Twitter questions. I put out the big question. It's really the question that we can't answer now, and we've tried to, because I've tried to ask you before, and there's no simple answer or solution.
All right.
Well, what's the issue with Dortmund? How do we fix everything? I just put out the question on Twitter. And we got a couple of responses. Shout out to Pateri. I'm probably saying that wrong, so I do apologize. But what he pointed out, he says, like, maybe one issue we can look at and hopefully we can fix, like leadership and responsibility. Someone has to step up and say, these kind of results can't happen at home. Which, I mean, we talked about it with Jude. Mm-hmm. It's a bad look that he's the one trying to do that. The 18-year-old kid is trying to do that when, like, where's Royce? Where's Hummels? Where are these other leaders?
Yeah, those
or Rosa. Like,
yeah, Royce and Hummels can sometimes what looks like seem to like take sort of a backseat when it comes to taking responsibility. But I don't think that is much of an issue. As much as I saw another reply to that question saying we've had squads in the past few years that could have won the Bundesliga, but this team just didn't have the belief that we could win the Bundesliga.
Mm-hmm. And shout out to the BVB Fan Hub UK who sent in this question.
Yeah, that's what I would probably lean more towards. And it's not like we don't have the talent. It's not like we don't have the squad. It's just at times we play these teams, and for some reason we're just not looking up for it mentally. We're already giving up whenever we're conceding a penalty when we have 60 or 70 minutes left of the game, and we're still only down, 1-0, if anything. All
right, so we are going to get into Gladbach, but there's that's a completely different mentality shift. So we're before that, let's preview Rangers coming up on Thursday. Hopefully we're going to stick in the Europa League, but Carver, what are your predictions, and can we do it? Oh, real quick too, we had another Twitter question. This was unsolicited Twitter question, but someone chimed in. And why we started this podcast, I've said it multiple times. If you're a Dortmund fan in America, maybe you just jumped on board Dortmund. Like I said, I haven't been a Dortmund fan that long, but I wanted to almost create a place where it's like, if you don't have friends or like you don't know your local supporters group, to give you a little bit of a community and people to talk Dortmund with. Like that's why we're here, helping you like get connected with the club and feel like you have some guys to watch Dortmund with. We did have someone ask just this, why the Rangers defeat was so bad. So just quick clarification. If you don't know where we're at specifically in the Europa League playing Rangers, we're in a knockout stage to continue. Since we got knocked out of the Champions League, we're playing Rangers in 2 legs to try to progress in the Europa League. And if we don't win, we're down 2 goals on aggregate. So if we don't come back and win by 3 goals, then we're out of Europa or Europe competition completely, and it's just the Bundesliga. And I mean, the big significance is like this is our one good shot at a trophy. Really, seems like the very unlikely that we're going to be able to catch Bayern. I don't want to sound pessimistic, but I mean I think that's where a lot of us stand right now. And then we're out of the Pokal, so Europa League is our one good chance at getting the trophy. And if we lose to Rangers, or if we don't win by 3 and we don't move on, then that's gone. So, but looking ahead to Rangers, how are you feeling?
I'm going to be honest. I think we're going to get knocked out. We have to score, like you said, we have to score 3. And I'm not thinking that's really going to happen. I think it's going to be probably a 2-2 draw or a 2-1 loss to Rangers. I think, I don't know what the COVID restrictions are like in Scotland, but I can imagine that their stadium is just absolutely going to be, their atmosphere is going to be unreal. And at times that can be pretty intimidating for us. And given the mountain that we have to climb into this game, and it doesn't look like we've addressed, I mean, we changed some of our system, which I was going to get into with Gladbach, but I don't think it's enough to really pull out this kind of a win. So I'm going to go 2-2 draw, and we get knocked out. Thoughts?
Well, I wanted to be optimistic, but I did say, so before the Gladbach game, I said, I was texting you, I was tweeting some people, and just how down we felt after Rangers and how back and forth we've been in 2022, which is why I got into that before we really jumped into everything. I went into the Gladbach game thinking, even if we win and have a great win, and I referenced Freiburg. I said, if we have like a Freiburg-style win, I can't go into the Rangers game with confidence, because what happens after we have a big, great win? We fall off a cliff again. Mm-hmm. So, and even after it happened, then we won 6-0. We had our biggest win since 2018. Of course, I'm feeling hyped. I'm feeling ready. And I want to say this is a turning point again, which we've said multiple times. But yeah, it's I don't know. And it's away. So I don't know. It's not looking good. I would say a draw would be a good outcome as far as like an overall, not looking at the big picture of the Europa League, but a good like one-off game. Getting a draw there would be good. So probably draw. I don't know. I don't think we're going to move on either. Sadly, as tough as it is to like root against them, I don't know if it's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
All right, so we are moving on. Sorry, this episode's a little back and forth with how you're just the midweek games and the differences in the games and what everything means. But now, we're going to jump into Gladbach, which was a fantastic game. Now we get happy, and now we pretend like everything's okay. So looking at the lineup, obviously we had some changes from the Rangers game. Changed to a back 3.
A back 3. Rosa does listen to the podcast.
He did it.
Confirmed. And Rosa, go ahead and stick to the 3. Thank you.
Here. So
also, if there's any opportunities to work at Dortmund, let me know, Rosa.
I have to say, first of all, though, I was watching watching the Bundesliga stream on ESPN, that when they did the lineup, they put out a 4-3-3. So that's what I had put down in my notes originally. And then I'm watching the game, and I was very confused because it's like, wow, Hazard's dropping way back. I was like, oh no, they're just like shifting to a back 3. And then I like go back and look at other lineups and everything. It's like, no, they played a back 3. I just thought they were which I think they do kind of transition a little bit here and there, but I was very confused watching the game originally because I was just like, what is happening? But I do like that it was a back 3, and it's something we've talked about a lot. I think that's how we roll, and it looked, especially given like our injuries and all our outs and everything. Like, I guess moving forward though, I don't know we'll get into all the previews later. But yeah, so lineup we had Chan, Hummels, Zagadou as the back 3, Hazard playing a wing back, Dahoud and Bellingham. 50th Bundesliga game for Jude Bellingham, and I think he's the youngest to reach that milestone that quickly.
I would imagine so.
And then Rafa, wing back. We had Reina starting, and Royce as like a kind of like number 10s, and then Malen up top.
Yeah, so I found this pretty interesting. So a few years back, when we were under Favre, we were starting to be exposed in a number of areas, and we had Paderborn at home, and we went down 3-0 before halftime, and we just managed to come back and the second half and end in a tie. But that very next week, I remember Favre's job was under some real scrutiny. But for anyone that remembers, Favre then switched to our system of 3-4-3 with interchanging front line. that very next game, do you want to give a guess at what the score was?
Was it a clean sheet and multiple goals?
It was 5-0. So I found that was pretty interesting. You know, we obviously went on to have a lot of success under that system for months to come, in my opinion. But now, am I saying that, you know, this is the answer to everything? Obviously, it's been a back three and everything's going to be solved and there's going to be this big dramatic change at the club? Absolutely not. There's miles of room for improvement, but this is actually a decent step in the right direction. But yeah, so 3 at the back. I think Chen was a big addition to the squad getting into this game. I asked online, but I didn't get any responses, and I also didn't find anything. I wonder why
Carver. Guys, come on, respond to Carver.
I wasn't sure why Chen was left out for the Rangers game. I don't know.
Was he still injured?
He might have been. I thought he was cleared. But anyway, it was nice to have him back because he would have been much needed in that Rangers game. I think it could have been, obviously not like we would have won with him, but like would have looked a lot different in my opinion because he brings obviously a whole bunch of toughness, which our defense seems to really lack at times. Pace, composure, good initiative on the ball. You know, he's not someone to really just kind of throw it back and forth. He's going to drive forward, especially whenever he's kind of playing more of that like wider center back or right back. So I felt better going into that one with that sort of a system.
Yeah, I really like Chan in this game. I mean, I like him in general, but this game really stuck out. I was like, man, I like him a lot. He's really composed.
He's so strong.
He brings me a lot of confidence watching. And I don't remember the game exactly, but when he played center back, when we were dealing with injuries, as we do, but that game too, like center back, like because we came off like Witzel playing center back, and the next week he played center back, and it just felt so good. Like put him defensive mid, put him right back, put him right center back. I don't care. Put him in.
I will say though, to counter that a little bit, he does make me nervous at times when he's playing right center back because he can be like very ballsy on the ball and thinks he's like Dahoud trying to like do these different turns to break their press. And whenever you're playing center back and you're not playing defensive mid, that's where his natural position is. Excuse me. You're going to get caught out because you don't have anyone behind you. So he gives me a heart attack still. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he's, perfect, but it looks like he's being a little bit more mature on the ball as time goes on. So yeah, he was a great addition to that squad for sure. But yeah, lively first 10 minutes. I mean, the game heated up really quick. There were flying tackles and yellow cards within like 15 minutes. And I was like, all right, this is a proper Borussia derby. Here we go.
Yeah, I liked how, I just liked how the ref let things. I mean, he definitely missed a lot of calls because he was letting too much go, but I just liked it. It was a physical game, and he kind of let it happen.
It was a physical game, but I mean, like I said, there were still a few cards in the first 15 or so minutes, so I think the ref did a decent job, at least setting the tone of, at least for discipline. But yeah, I could see what you mean though. There were still some tackles that were questionable for sure. But I mean, just even from the 10th or so minute, the pressure just continued to build after that, and it was just a matter of who was going to be more clinical in front of goal first. Rosa mentioned after the game that the game was a, quote, a battle of attrition, which I would have to agree with that statement. It's a matter of, both of our teams are prone to making mistakes at the back. Both of our teams are known for being pretty solid in attack. Again, who was going to be more clinical?
It was like the 12th minute. There was this ball coming back. When Zagadou got his yellow card, I don't know if you remember before that, but it looked like he severely misjudged the ball.
Yep.
But also then I kind of realized a little bit later, the wind was awful. I also wanted to shout out any fans who were at the game. It looked very cold, very windy, and very rainy. And coming off our terrible game against Rangers, I'm kind of surprised people were like, yeah, I'll go to a game and stick this out. But props to them. Why I'm pointing that out specifically, because it looked like he misjudged the ball really bad, ended up getting the yellow card, having to come back and tackle the guy. I think because we saw him go out a little bit later, and I didn't think he played awful.
I don't think he played great either. The second he got that card, I instantly was like, oh, Jesus. Because, again, he's a massive liability. He's been conceding a lot of penalties since he's been back from his, year-ish injury. He's been conceding just needless fouls. And now I'm sounding like someone who hates Zagadou because I think he still has a lot to bring to the team, but it just seems like he has so many mental lapses, and it continued on to this game, unfortunately. You just really got to stay concentrated whenever you're playing for a team at this level as a center back.
Yeah. So, I mean, and now he can take some time off and recover and
Yeah,
refresh his mind. I don't know.
Yeah, here's to a speedy recovery for Zagadou. I really do love the guy, and I hope he can be back soon. And wherever he ends up, whether it's still with us after this summer or somewhere else, I hope his career thrives as much as it can, because I do love the guy. I think he's got plenty of talent to perform, and yeah, all the best. But it wasn't just him either. Again, with this game as well, that we still had plenty of mistakes at the back. The 23rd minute could and should have been a goal to Gladbach if it weren't for Kobel bailing us out.
Yeah, and that was
just insane.
He had such a great game. In this game could have been totally different. Like, I think first half he had 3 big saves that very easily could have been goals, which changes this game completely. Like, it's all thanks to him that we went on to. All thanks to him that this ended up being like our best game of the season. Because,
I was just gonna say. I mean, I haven't had this sort of confidence in a goalkeeper of ours since Weidenfeller. I mean, I know Berkey had his moments for sure with us for the past however many years, but like Kobel is just like a next level, man. The fact that we got him for such an absolute steal, he's going to be one of the better keepers in Europe, hands down, in the next few years. I mean, the dude's only like 24 or so, I think. But, if that goal goes in the 23rd minute, you're already thinking,
oh, yeah,
right, I've seen this before. I've seen how the lads drop their heads. I've seen how they just roll over, take a beating, and here's for another thrashing at home and, getting humiliated again.
Especially coming off the Rangers game, like what do you think the response would have been like if
oh my God,
it's happening again?
It would have been terrifying. The second that it was Hummels that misplaced that pass, he was looking at Jude because there wasn't really many options. I think he could have went to Zagadou on the left there, but Jude, I think it wasn't paying attention to who was behind him, and that's whenever Kone was able to steal the ball and had that quick 1-2, which is just an open shot. The fact that they didn't put that away, I mean, the second that Kone got that ball, I was like, oh my God, it's going to be 1-0 already. And this is just, I don't know if I could do this for another 67 minutes.
Just turn it off.
But yeah. But it looked like we woke up a little bit for that. I mean, obviously, or after that, because obviously we went to go ahead and score after a few minutes after that save from Kobel. So
yeah, I mean, even in the, like, I was trying to like take some notes, like kind of 15-minute marks. Even in the first 15 minutes, like you said, the game was on like real quick, and we were being aggressive. Like, both teams were aggressive and physical, but I really liked our pressing and kind of like
we did press pretty
jumping
well this game.
onto the ball, and like we had our good like one-touch passes were going, and then we obviously there was that mistake and Kobel bailed us out, but then kind of keep playing that style, keep putting the pressure on, keep up the one-touch quick passes, and then we got our goal from Royce, 26th minute, which is awesome, great team build up. Mullen had that great run, and that the commentators were talking about it too, but I was just like, that quick shot, like how quickly he got that shot off, where it looked like he wasn't even ready to shoot, and then out of nowhere
he's got a little bit of a slap shot in him. Mullen.
Yeah, and it was great. It was a good shot, which forced a really like tough save for Sommer. He was kind of leaning the other way and had to push his arms back, and because of that, bounced right out to Royce, who was there to put it in. Which
again, like you and I have said before, let her rip. You're going to create chaos in that 6-yard box, especially when you have that kind of shot power. A keeper a lot of the time is not going to be able to keep that ball under control, which just leads it right back to one of our attackers like Royce that put that in. And just so in case we forget in the next few minutes talking about the rest of the goals of this game, can we talk about Marco Rues for a second? Can we talk about Marco Rues? What an absolute masterclass of a performance, man. I mean, he made so many, even all of his goals and assists aside, that man made so many beautiful passes that just completely penetrated Gladbach's 2 defensive lines. I mean, and also, did you see he only needs 6 more goals to match Dortmund's all-time score?
Oh, really?
No, I didn't
see that.
Yep. So only needs a few more goals, and the man still has plenty of games left in him, so I feel like he can achieve that no problem. But 2 goals, 3 assists, 5 chances created, that man. He rolled back the years, and we got to see Royce put on an absolute performance tonight.
It was...
Love that man.
Oh, it was beautiful. And we talked about it before, people giving him shtick and like calling him out, and I'm just like, shut up. Respect the man, because that's what he can do.
Yeah.
I don't, like, and he's... So I'm going to go to a tweet from our homie Adam Darowski, who we've mentioned a lot, specifically for the women's team. He's got a great website that tracks the men's and women's team. If you want to find out more, we'll link him in there. But he put out a tweet before the game, and then he later replied and he's like, man, the replies to this, he's like, I'm so glad Marco did what he did because the replies to this had me really mad. But he said, Marco Rues has played 2,644 of a possible 2,970 minutes this season. That's 89% of the team's minutes.
I was looking at that earlier today, not to cut you off, but I was like, for someone who's been injury prone his whole career, Marco Rues has played a lot of games this season.
It said only Kobel has played more.
Wow.
And so I'm going to go through some of the responses. That won't make him a good captain. I love Royce, but he's dipping in form. Form. Even with his 2 goals last game, I wonder if he needs to take a game off.
Wow.
Aged poorly. Oh, someone responded to him. Aged poorly. Not Marco Rues. Aged poorly. He's aging like a fine wine.
Yeah.
So many minutes, yet so little impact. ... Shame.
Again, he's not above criticism. I'm not saying he is above criticism because, like I was just mentioning a few minutes ago, he did not show up whatsoever against Rangers. But that man can change the game on a dime, and he has the ability to perform at that kind of level on a semi-regular basis, I like to think.
I mean, we talked about it before. I know, like, he didn't show up against Rangers, but, like, most of the team didn't show up against Rangers, and in those moments, I still want to count on him to do something. Like, I still put more weight in him than, like, someone else, almost. And I just want to say to everyone who responded to that tweet like an a-hole, I hope you feel like an idiot. I hope you did watch that game, and I hope you feel like an idiot.
Yeah, especially whenever he's playing in what looks like his best position. I know his entire career, people have wondered, like, where is Royce's best position? He's played in the 10. He's played in the left wing. We know he's not a striker, but he's played striker. He's played right winger at times. And it looked like in this game he was in that perfect position where it's like a combination of left wing and a central attacking midfielder. Just kind of slots into those left pockets when you're in attack, and that's just how he's able to put on that sort of a clinic. So all the best to Royce for putting on a show, man. It was fun to watch.
We do have to quickly mention too the Reyna injury, which was really weird. I watched the replay so many times to see what happened. It kind of looked like maybe as he was running, it kind of pulled up because he went down right after the goal. You kind of saw him like hobbling a little bit, even like in the build up to the goal. And he went down with a hamstring injury, same hamstring that he just came off the injury from. Luckily, though, they say he's only going to be out a couple weeks.
Yeah, quote unquote, a few weeks.
But we'll see what happens there. And also, I'm just like, I know he was gone forever, but it's like, since this happened so quickly after that, I was like, was he ready to start a game?
And that's been the question from our medical staff for however long now. It's like, are we rushing players back, or is there something up with their medical team? Because these kind of injuries are starting to seem pretty unnormal. But
Zagadou got the same injury.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like a torn muscle fiber or whatever. Like, what is going on?
Here's to a speedy recovery for Gio too. I hope he gets back soon. Plenty of other positive standout performances in this game. I know Malen also netted one himself. Royce with a beautiful pass to give him a one-on-one with against Summer. I think Malen made it a little bit more difficult than he needed to be there when he passed it under and it came up and then just kind of rolled into the net. I was like, it's in the net, but like, he had time and space there to finish, which thankfully he did. Wolf looked great coming back again. Yeah. So happy to have him back from injury. He provides a lot for this team. Be it width, pace, power, attacking threat. So good to have Wolf back. Mukoko scoring his first goal of the season. That was cool to see. It's just like a great performance all around. I mean, nothing perfect, which we can get into, but.
Yeah, so even the Mukoko goal, which it looked pretty simple, and I know he's right in front of the goal, but it was like one touch and coming across the body the placement of it, like, because I don't know. It was a pretty great finish that I think some people might write off because he was right in front of the goal. But like coming across your body, one touch, still getting around the keeper, like because he still sent it to the corner. It wasn't like he just. Most of the time you see that almost like it, and it's just going straight. Like they just kick it wherever. Yeah, but it's very well controlled.
Especially for his age. He's only 17, so he's got the intelligence to be in the right areas at the right time. say what you want about that, but that takes some true class for a striker to have that kind of instinct to want and go score goals like that. And he's also got the calm and collective composure to put in the back of the net. So all power to him. I hope the man gets more minutes, especially if Haaland's going to continue being out, man. We need a striker up top. Yeah. So love that Moukoko was able to net one.
I know we talked about last week, I really got into like the striker situation. It's like, do we want to put Tigges up there instead of Malen? Because I was talked a lot about how Malen, I almost feel Malen's a little better like on the left and not that central striker role. But I think in this game he proved it. Granted, Rangers was awful, but like this game he proved it's like he can play that central role because I thought he was getting in a good space. I thought his movements were good, and he did that more centralized striker. Like I thought he played it well in this game specifically.
Utilized his pace too, which I know I've mentioned a handful of times the last few weeks. I mean, he continues to burn every defender in the Bundesliga. He's quick as hell. Just needs to work on his decision making a little bit. I think he really kind of tends to overthink things in the final third and or just not keep his head up, and just kind of slows down our attacks. But that's something, he can improve on. The man's only 23. But overall, I think we attacked pretty well in this game. We actually had some initiative. We actually wanted to penetrate Gladbach's lines of defense, something you didn't see much at all against Rangers.
Yeah, in our like quick 1-2 passes, and then like a big part of that too is I honestly feel like Dortmund is one of the best, like the best team I see do this. Like working in tight spaces with the quick 1-2 passes, but not only quick pass, one-touch passes, but after someone passes, they're continually moving. Like they're moving to get that ball back.
Yeah.
Like it's so good, and I wish we saw it. I wish we weren't so inconsistent.
Yeah, consistently inconsistent.
But like, can we do that consistently? Because we just look so good and so in control. I still think we almost bunched together a little too much, and I want us to create a little more space. Because although we are good in tight spaces, it's like spread out a little bit. Sometimes like you'll see like 3 players within like a 6-foot radius. It's like, guys, come on, like
yeah,
spread out a little bit more.
But. I know. Obviously, Rosa is always throwing that word around in press conferences too. Consistency, and I mean, obviously, in those good moments, that's what you want to build on is more consistency to have those kind of attacks. Because I would agree. I think we're one of the most, if not arguably the most fun team to watch when we're on our day. Those silky 1-2 passes that you always talk about. I mean, we provide plenty of pace, obviously, at times, and I think we have a lot of exciting players. Although I would say the scoreline, going back to Gladbach, I thought it was a little harsh. Not so much us like getting 6, but as much as us getting a clean sheet. I mean, you've already mentioned already, but Koval bailing us out 3 times in a matter of 15 minutes.
Yeah.
That's pretty unheard of.
Even I want to go back quickly, like even after our first goal, they had a really good chance. It was like 3 minutes after.
It was.
And that's just us dropping off. Part though, that was when Reina was out and they hadn't subbed anyone on yet, so we were playing down a man. But still, and you can still close down and not. Oh yeah, it's just typical that we'll see like this happens so many times. Like we score and then immediately the other team has typically a very good chance. And luckily, Koval, because that completely changes the game if they score and even it up. Like
completely would have switched up the game for sure if they would have netted one of those.
So, and even in the second half too, like we seemed to start the second half. We ended the first half slow, and we also started the second half slow. And they had a chance early on in the second half too that I think like went off the crossbar.
I think that was in like the 62nd minute from Hoffman. It's funny that Hoffman looks usually really dangerous against us. I like watching him play since he moved to Gladbach. But yeah, what a rocket he had! It was one of those shots where it's too top corner for it to go in, So yeah, that one rattled my cage a bit too. I really don't know how we managed to pull off a clean sheet because we still have plenty of issues to fix. I mean, going forward, obviously minimize those mistakes at the back. I say stick to the back 3. Just a matter of I think Pongracic looked pretty decent when he came in. And now that Zagadou and Akanji are hurt, I think we could still look at a back 3 of Pongracic, Hummels, Chan. And utilize your wing backs. Now that we have Wolf back, I think it could be a really solid option for on the right instead of Brandt. Obviously, Brandt's not going to have that aggression or ability to really track back that much. and it gives the ability for Guerrero to have a little bit more freedom. So, yeah, I mean, we'll see going forward. I mean, again, like we said at the beginning of this episode, but it's win, loss, win, loss, win.
Yeah. This is going to be the real, although I'm excited about this win. I mean, it's exciting to talk about it. It was exciting to watch. I'm still just like hesitant and I'm worried, and I'm going to actually feel like something good is happening, and maybe we are going to progress and look good moving forward, and it can be an enjoyable rest of the season if we can win, if we can move on in the Europa League.
These next two games are going to be big tells, in my opinion. I mean, there are big mental challenges. We're not only going away in another day or so to Rangers at Rangers, and that's going to be a mountain to climb. But also we have Augsburg at the weekend, who, yeah, given they're in 16th, but they're a team that's no stranger to giving top teams a hard time. They beat Bayern this season. They've beaten us a handful of times in our last few meetings, and we're also at Augsburg as well. So we have 2 away games in a row, and I think that's going to be a big tell of how we're going to be performing on the pitch and also just mentally for the rest of the season.
All right, so Marco Rues, after Gladbach, said, "I'm very happy with the game and with the result. The physical aspect of the performance was outstanding, given that we played on Thursday. Once again, we were able to show the right reaction. We've won an important Bundesliga game, and now I have to show the right reaction to that too. The lads know what they have to work on. It's about finding solutions as a team and going about things on a goal-oriented way. For that, we also need a shared consistency at the end of each day, regardless of what individuals choose to do with their private time. It comes down to putting in all the work required week on week so that the club can be successful, the fans can be successful, and Borussia Dortmund can be successful." I don't really get the what you do in your private time quote. I don't know if that's like a dig, like if anyone's like been misbehaving or not showing up to practice or like showing up to practice hungover, not that extreme, but I don't know, that is a weird little thing to throw in there. But I guess the big takeaway from that is finding the solutions as a team, being goal oriented. And now we have to show the right reaction too. And it seems like it's like he's giving them the instructions. Now it's up to them to actually do it. Like, what do you have any thoughts or takes off that?
I don't know if it's necessarily them as much as like, what system he's going to go with. We've used like 50 different formations from Rosa in the last few months. Obviously we had some injuries, but we've went from a 4-3-3 to a 4-2-3-1, 3-4-3, a 3-4-2-1. So it's definitely on the players too. I mean, we mentioned it before, but we're going to need some people or players that need to step up and take responsibility for these kind of performances against Rangers. But we also need to look at Rosa and be like, what? You're also the one that was hired to address some of these issues, and we need you to, lead us here going forward.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's concerning that every single game, it's like, I don't know how we're going to line up. I don't know what formation you're going to go with. And it's probably hard on the players too. And then there's always changes. Like I think we have a lot of depth midfield and attacking midfield. And even when we lose some guys, even when we lose Holland, it's like we have some great options. Like you can throw in, it seems like maybe depending on who's on form throughout the week, but like you can almost get the same results with Brandt or Hazard or Reyna. It's like whoever you want to interchange. Like we can interchange that a lot. Our back line, not so much, and it's so depleted. And everyone's like, no one's building good partnerships because people are going out all the time, and it's just like it's got to be hard on them. And it's like,
yeah, it's hard on everyone. But
like, do they know the game plan? Do they know what formation they're going to play the next week, or do they find out like going into the game? Like, are they working on it throughout the week? It just seems crazy how much it's like we don't have a system. Like, what is our best system?
Yeah. I mean, it's tough, right? Like you mentioned before, we're incredibly consistently inconsistent. But yeah, it's going to be a big tell how we perform on Thursday. How is he going to line up against a team who clearly wants to sit deep and break you on the counter? We've been punished by those teams twice now in a matter of weeks. So it'll be interesting to see if Rosa actually knows how to try to address those issues now. And then going into the weekend, we have Augsburg, which I mentioned already in 16th, but they're not a team that you can obviously write off. We've been punished in that matter of plenty of times these last few months. So I don't think Haaland will be back for the Augsburg game. Maybe. I haven't heard too much.
Okay. So I saw he might be back. I haven't seen anything today as we're recording this on Tuesday night, but apparently he was in training on Monday.
Yeah,
the full training. It was with the U23s or something. But so there's people who are like he might be a chance for Thursday.
I would hope we rest him for Thursday. I mean, if it's
or maybe
even
come on as a sub, maybe
even then.
If he
but
can.
I don't want to risk anything because you really need him these next few months. But yeah. I'm thinking for Sunday we continue the Borussia Dortmund tradition where we have Haaland come on as a sub and get a hat trick, because that's happened a handful of times now with us, with our strikers coming on and scoring a hattie versus Augsburg. So that would be cool to see.
Yeah, if he wants to do that, that'd be great.
Yeah.
If he wants to do that,
I'll call him up and let you know of what he says.
If he wants to do that Thursday too, that would also be great. Mm-hmm. If we can maintain if we can keep a level scoreline until then.
Yeah.
What do you think going forward, both Thursday and Sunday, I guess? What do you want to see line up specifically, I guess, more on the defensive end?
Like I said, just a back three. I think it'll probably be Pongracic, Hummels, and Chan.
Yeah. I thought you might have mentioned this. I don't know if you did or not, but I thought Pongracic looked great in the last game. Like he seemed pretty composed. He looked like he seemed composed and he had good control of the ball. He was making smart or not dumb passes. I thought his passing was good, and I don't know. I thought he looked great when he came on. So
yeah, he's got the pace to close down people, I think, a lot better than Zagadou. And he saved us a bunch at the beginning of the season, and his form dipped a little bit, but maybe this might be a good send-off for him back to Wolfsburg, as he starts to perform a little bit better going in these next few weeks. Who knows? But it'll be a real test. Again, I really cannot stress enough how Augsburg can be dangerous against us. I know Caligiuri gives us trouble every time we play against them. He seems to really try to put on a show when he plays us. So, and I think he'll be on that side with Pongracic if he plays on that left center back position, since Caligiuri will be on the right. I think it'll be interesting to see how they line up. But I think, I already mentioned before, a 2-2 draw against Rangers. I think if it's a 2-2 draw, we win at Augsburg 3-1.
Okay, so if we draw on Thursday, you think we're going to win?
Yeah.
Well, what if we win? Then we're going to win again? What if we lose? Then we're going to win 7-0?
If we, yeah, who fucking knows? Yeah, we could almost only hope for a bashing and Europa League just so we can come back in the Bundesliga and keep this roller coaster of a season going. But what about you?
I just want him to play good. I don't want to lose, and I don't want to go back and forth. I hate it. I hate it all.
Score prediction versus Augsburg. What do you got?
I feel like every time my prediction is 3-1, so I'm going to go with 3-1 Augsburg.
You were copying me for the tie, and now you're copying me for the 3-1. Okay.
Wait, is that what you said? Honestly, I wasn't. I was reading some tweets and I wasn't paying too much attention. But you copy me. I say 3-1 every time.
Great.
Okay, I do have one question.
Sure.
Because I don't think we talked about defense, but we did have a Twitter question from shout out to, it's a weird @ but it makes sense when you explain it. @ Badger Hopper. One of our new listeners. I believe his name's Tyler. He's been featured in the BVB International app. Check him out. He's really cool. He's a professional volleyball player in the Faroe Islands, but he's from Milwaukee.
What did he say?
Oh, well, I mean, that's just explaining his @ the Badger, because Milwaukee. Anyways, I think it's super cool that he's playing pro volleyball.
That's wild.
But thanks for hanging out. Thanks for listening. No, his question was, what's our defense going to look like? Which we kind of answered. Zagadou's injured. Akanji is injured. He asked about Akanji, who will be out. Hoping Chan is in there. Mm-hmm. I think Chan will be in there. He asked if we unleash the Wolf. So do you think Wolf starts?
That's what I was saying earlier. He'll be playing on that wing back instead of Brandt.
Okay. Yeah. You said that. Sorry. Where am I today?
Jeez.
Where am I today? I don't know.
Podcast etiquette.
Yeah. Anyways. Okay. That's kind of it. We didn't get interrupted by the cleaning lady this time.
We should have.
Should we just keep podcasting until she walks in? Where's she at?
Sure.
Yeah. So, okay. Rangers Thursday, Augsburg Sunday. Hopefully it's just good and not complete sadness and then jubilation. I'd rather be tie both games maybe than the up and down, I think.
I mean, if we're knocked out of the Europa League, then we don't really have any. That doesn't obviously affect you in the table. So I would almost rather lose at Rangers just to keep up the pace in the Bundesliga. Personally.
Okay, what's the end goal with the Bundesliga? Holding on to second?
I mean, we still have one game against Bayern in April.
Think there's a chance? Is the race on?
I think if Bayern tie or lose before we play them at the end of April and we put on a hell of a performance, it is on. Yeah.
It's only 6 points. I think it's on.
It's only 6 points. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
All right. Cool. Yeah, that's it. Again, my name's Jake Carver. Thanks so much.
Oh, of course.
You can find us, the BVB Podcast, anywhere you listen to podcasts, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at the BVB Pod. Also, we have an email too if you're old school. I always say at. I'm trying to give the email, and I try to give a handle. It's thebvbpod@gmail.com. Hey, thanks so much for hanging out and listening. We will talk to you later next week. See ya.
See ya.